So how do you go about selecting a federation to compete in? What is the differences between the federations and what is the different experience like for an athlete? It's a great question once again. So federation, once again, it's a preference thing. Majority of you ladies, when entering into the industry, you might have a friend or a role model that you've seen competed before, and generally you would be inclined to do a certain federation based off of someone else's experience. Most ladies, generally speaking, would opt into doing IFBB in the beginning. Why? Because the step to becoming an SA champ and then earning your Protea colors and officially being a Protea athlete where you get officially capped and representing your country at Worlds is obviously a great appeal for majority of athletes. Also, most girls, their physiques suit the IFBB criteria better than some of the other federations. But that's not the only federation. You've got NPC, which is equally these days as competitive, as contested, and a great, competing federation for IFBB. So you get NPC, and then you get IFBB. That's been around for the longest in South Africa. A few years back, NPC entered into the country and has very quickly become one of the most popular federations in South Africa. Then you got PCA, you got RBFF, you got NABA. Obviously you've got quite a few different federations. We used to have WBFF in the country, but that got discontinued a few years back. So like I said, it comes down to preference. What is your body's condition potential? What is your body's structure like? What is your genetics like? Realistically, what does your body look like in certain poses? And what is your goal? What is your end game? Where do you want to end up? Do you want to, really pursue, this industry and spend the next 10 years, trying to become, a pro athlete to get to the Olympia stage? When girls watch, bikini shows, that is what they dream about, the Olympia. The only way to get to the Olympia through South Africa is through the NPC. NPC turn pro, you have to then go on and win a major pro show to get access or invited to the Olympia, or you need to accumulate a certain amount of points to then be one of the top 30 athletes to compete in the world to go to the Olympia, pro athletes. And only one South African has ever done that in the history of South African bodybuilding, and that's in all different divisions, from men's physique all the way to bikini, all the way to bodybuilding, all the way to wellness, all the way to figure and classic. So it's a very, very hard task. But if your dreams are, obviously to get to the Olympia one day somehow, NPC is your only route. For most girls, they start off at IFBB because that appeal, to get your Protea colors is a big one. Then those are the two most contested, the toughest. The standard is very, very high in both of those federations. Then some girls might have done, majority of girls, realistic or athletes, have done one of those two federations to start off with. Maybe not, up at the standard and level that they want to be, but they want to be competitive. They want a shot at a pro card. They want to maybe have in some ways, the smaller federations, there's more of a intimate relationship with the organizers in a way that it's run better. It's the athletes are valued a little bit more. The things that you get when winning, might be a little bit better, like the trophies and, obviously the validation and the prizes and all of these things. And those things are appeals to some athletes. So some athletes might want to compete in a less competitive, federation like RBFF or PCA, where it's a little bit easier to, become an SA champ. It's a little bit easier to earn a pro card, to be able to get, top status within the country. But like I said, posing is a little bit different. The look, the criteria is a little bit different. The shape, the size, the mold, the kind of like physique that they are looking for, is different for every single federation. So a body that is great at IFBB might not necessarily be great at NPC, might not necessarily be great at PCA, might not necessarily be great at RBFF or WBFF. You need to kind of like see what is your body's natural shape, what is its natural conditions, potential. What really does your body look like when you're in the best shape of your life, and then see what poses fit your body the best. Majority of the federations have similar poses. PCA is similar to IFBB, RBFF similar to IFBB, NAMA similar to IFBB, small little tweak changes there. NPC is a little bit different. WBFF is obviously a little bit different. So it all comes down to preference. It all comes down to, your body's potential, your genetics, the shape of your actual physique, what poses look great on your body or not, how competitive really you want to, what level do you want to compete at, and what is the end game? Do you just want to do shows and enjoy the journey, and we don't really care about becoming a prettier athlete, or becoming pro and going to the Olympia? Then IFBB and NPC might not necessarily be the federation that you have to do. You can then go dabble and try RBFF. They run great shows, less contested for the most part. I mean, like the top athletes, the top 1-2 athletes are generally great, but there's not a lot of depth, if you get what I'm trying to say, in the federations. And they are very, how can I say, they offer a lot of opportunities during the year to earn your pro card. Where NPC, it's tough to get your pro card. IFBB is the toughest to get your pro card. PCA, RBFF, it's a little bit easier. You're the top in the country, you're getting a pro card, and you're earning your pro status for that year. But yeah, it all comes down to what you want to really invest in, what your body looks like, your genetics, your posing, and what your end game is. I recommend that you keep an open mind. You don't have to be locked into IFBB, because majority of the girls on the team does IFBB. You'll see a lot of girls will now slowly but surely also try NPC. We've got a few girls that obviously do RBFF. We've got a few girls that do PCA. Majority obviously is still at IFBB, but that doesn't necessarily have to be where you compete. So if you feel you would rather want to try one of these other federations, go for it. You know what I mean? Speak to your coach. Obviously, if you're on the team, you speak to me. Let's look at the past SA champs from the previous amateur year. Let's look at where your body fits into the divisions, what federation and condition suits your natural body a little bit more. Really, what is your end game? Is it just competing, enjoying it, and doing as many shows as possible, or is there a specific goal that you want to reach? And based off that, then we can decide, do we just stick to one federation? IFBB has a loyalty clause. So if you want to do well at IFBB, like really become an SA champ, get prettier, status, go and represent, SA, abroad, you're going to have to be loyal to them for that year of competing. NPC, RBFF, all of the other federations, they don't really mind. You can jump around. You can do an NPC show here, you can do RBFF show here, you can do a PCA show here, and you can cross compete, and they're not going to discriminate against you. IFBB has that loyalty clause, which is a little bit of a tough one. It locks you kind of like in if you really want to do well there. But yeah, keep an open mind. It all comes down to your journey, your purpose, your reasons for competing, and what you want to achieve. And then based off that, pick the federation that feels like home for you. You might do an IFBB show and not place top 5. Two months later, you can go and stand on an RBFF stage and become an SA champ. You know what I'm saying? Because your look, is something that they, look for, and fits the criteria a little bit. So you've got to be open-minded and experiment sometime. But yeah, let me know. All right. Hope you well. God bless.